Hello everybody, and here and welcome back to the Stanley Parable. Like always, please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and to share to all of your friends. I don't have much to say other than this, so let's start the game like always. What time is it? Does anyone really truly know? Of course I don't. Nobody knows anything. Even I don't even know each other. We're like strangers. Should have adjusted all of the game settings to your exact specifications, but who isn't? It's just what I do, like a day job. And now, the job is over. Oh. There's no more information for me to gather. I've collected all the data on you that I can. Yes, I don't really know you. And you don't know me. Yeah, okay. And neither of us know what time it is. I guess some settings are just unsettable. But if I'm being totally honest, the clock doesn't do anything in the game anyway. You won't have me here when the game starts next time, but that's okay. Video games were meant to be played alone. You like being alone, don't you? Yeah, I bet. This may be the only information I really learned about you. Well, it's time for me to leave. There's one more setting that we need to adjust, but it may take a little time before I'm ready for that. It's not really in my job description, but that's okay. Perhaps you'll see me again, if you can find me. Talk soon. Okay, let's go.
This
Alright, next time we're going to start right here. Alright, let's go.
all of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. The confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket.
So, I cannot do that. I want to go inside my office room with a bucket, but I guess I cannot do that. Sad. Alright, so let's do the other thing I wanted to do.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room.
Yes, I
Stanley
know.
had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be.
Oh, yeah.
And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong.
Truly wrong.
Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
Nope.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The
Yes,
cargo
okay.
lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
Yes, I will. They go there.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him.
Okay,
It
let's
should
get
have alarmed
ready.
him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced
Okay.
that the bucket had spoken to him, and he
There we
unthinkingly
go.
did whatever the bucket asked.
No. Alright, let's go.
No, stop. Look there on the wall. You see, there's a sign right there. It says,
No
no
buckets
buckets
past
past
this
this
point."
point. Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here?
That's
Unless-
true.
What if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket?
True.
I suppose that would explain a lot about your behavior up to this point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it.
Really?
This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here for a moment.
Okay. Oh, is this a bucket?
Now then, I'm going to run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket.
Okay.
Okay, let's begin. Item 1. Is this a bucket?
Yes.
Incorrect. It is a hologram of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
Fuck you.
Item 2. Is this a bucket?
Yes.
Incorrect. It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
It's still a bucket. Idiot.
Item 3. Is this a bucket?
Yes.
Correct. This is a
Finally.
bucket.
Oh, nice
Item
bucket.
4. Is this a bucket?
First?
Are you hallucinating? This is a tractor.
No.
It's an enormous machine that tills the earth. I thought this was a gimmick. How on earth did you manage to screw it up? Absolutely incredible. Let's just move on to the next one.
That's a bucket. It can be a bucket.
Is this a bucket?
Yes.
Correct. This is a bucket.
See? That's a bucket. Always been a bucket.
Item 6. Is this a bucket?
Yes.
Trick question. Both. Gotcha.
What do you mean, trick question?
Item... Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. It should be around here somewhere.
It's a bucket.
Okay, you and I both know there isn't anything here. And I don't appreciate the implication that nothing is a bucket when we both clearly know that a bucket is something. And therefore nothing could possibly be something.
Well, a philosopher.
Unless, in your twisted mind, have you somehow convinced yourself that a bucket is nothing? Answer me straight, Stanley. Do you believe that nothing is a bucket? You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago, I could answer these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket? Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart.
No.
I can't have that. I'm sorry.
No, Ray,
I'm going
don't
to
say
erase
that.
all buckets from the game and...
No!
Okay, here we go.
No! My bucket! See? I told you.
What happened? Is everything gone? Why did everything disappear? Wait, was everything a bucket?
Yes.
Every single thing in the game was a bucket?
Yes.
My God, I had no idea.
Such an idiot.
Except me. I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either.
That's it.
This is wonderful news. We're not buckets. Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue, but it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So, tell you what, I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets.
Good,
Okay?
good.
And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that.
Fine.
Who knows what that information might do to a person? All right,
It might
here
go
we go.
crazy. Now I want to try to answer truthfully.
All of his co-workers were gone.
So saying if it is a bucket or
Stanley
no.
decided to go to the meeting room. Warmth spread through Stanley's arms. With the bucket in his arms again, he was home. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly.
Yeah.
This was
Yeah,
what
the
led to the meeting room. But Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Well, no, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift. Good.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact.
Okay,
He was
there
firmly
we
convinced that the
go.
bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
Okay, so I'm going to do a little cut once we are there. So see you in a bit. There we go.
Now then, I'm going to run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin. Item 1. Is this a bucket?
No.
Correct. It is a hologram of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
Well, everything has to be
Item
a
2.
bucket.
Is this a bucket?
No.
Correct. It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
So technically it can be a bucket. But
Item
this
3. Is this a bucket?
is a bucket.
Correct. This is a bucket. Item 4. Is this a bucket?
That's a tractor.
Correct. This is a tractor and not a bucket. To be honest, I just sort of put this one in here as a gimme, but I was starting to get concerned that even this might be too much for you. Thank you for not making me look like an idiot. Okay, next one.
Thank you.
Is this a bucket?
Yes.
Correct. This is a bucket.
See, I knew it. That's clearly a bucket.
Item 6. Is this a bucket?
Technically neither, but I go with yes.
Trick question.
Well,
Both.
not
Gotcha.
neither. Sorry.
Item... Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. It should be around here somewhere.
Well, sure it's not a bucket.
Yes. Thank you. There's nothing here. Of course it isn't a bucket. We both know full well that nothing isn't a bucket. Wait, when I say nothing isn't a bucket, that makes it sound like I'm saying everything is a bucket,
shit.
which of course is not true. Unless... Is that what you think?
No.
Answer me straight, Stanley. Are you trying to tell me that you believe everything is a bucket?
No.
You know what? I'm too
No.
confused to even
Oh,
sort it
shit.
out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago,
Oh,
I could answer
God.
these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I
Narrator
a
don't.
bucket? Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that. I'm sorry. But I'm
The
going
fuck
to
is
erase
that guy?
all buckets
Is
from
that the narrator?
entirely. Okay, here we go. What happened? Is everything gone? Why did everything disappear? Wait,
See you later,
Everything.
guys. Honestly, guys,
all
that thing
of his
was
code
scary.
gone.
I mean,
What could it
not
mean?
really scary, but
Stanley decided
Pretty
to go to
creepy.
the meeting room. Stanley picked up the bucket and smiled. He'd never be alone again.
I want
Not
to do
truly
the
alone.
crazy
Not with the
ending,
bucket around.
but with a bucket.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Yes. But no one is here.
No one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find her. Coming to a staircase,
Nope.
Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
There we go.
You found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
Thank you. Okay, press ending, but with the bucket. AnYT.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fined for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley.
Valve moment.
Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all. That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket.
No.
Someone else's bucket, perhaps.
No.
How did I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed, now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd.
No, my
Now he
bucket.
felt himself floating off the ground.
Oh,
Oh, gracious, he exclaimed.
God, no.
My bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him.
Stanley!
bucket, I'm
Stanley,
coming.
me,
I'm coming.
Bucket!
Could it truly be? He rushed forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket.
Come to me, Stanley! Find me!
He had to
Bucket.
find the bucket.
Where are
He
you,
had to
bucket?
return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly
Bucket,
restore his
where are
sight.
you?
And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of
Am I a
him all
bucket?
along. It was incredibly painful. Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out. This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket. Of course he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass.
That's
and she
true.
backflipped all the way to work.
Oh, yeah. No, I was thinking to go here with the
All of his
bucket.
co-workers were
first.
gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
We can
Perhaps
fund
he'd
this
simply
committee.
missed a
Meeting
memo.
today in a meeting room. Nice.
The good old bucket. Just Stanley and the bucket. Off on another thrilling adventure together.
Yes.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Maybe let's cut once I am at the two doors. So see you later in a bit. You guys know the whole journey. Alright, there we go, guys. Time to do the rocket landing. But with our dear bucket. Our lovable bucket. You're now living. 760. Let's go. 755. $756. 757. I'm sorry for all the noises. Just got something stuck in my seat. 758. 759. One more. We can save our bucket. Escape pod, launch bay. Okay, I'm going the right direction. There we go. Let's put the bucket. You're safe. Goodbye. Maybe we have time for a, well, not really ending.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
William Impet. 1. Okay, let's go and die.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Yes.
The lounge was
Beautiful.
sublime, a work of art. What but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Is this my left? Yes, this is my left.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Take me with there.
But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Thanks. Oh. Oh. Oh.
And try not to lose this one too, you dolt.
Oh, shut up.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Yes, yes. But not today, nope. Okay. That was pretty fun. So, like always, please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and to share to all your friends. AnYT out, and bye-bye!